You never thought a statewide Virginia election campaign could get as raunchy as this, but it can. So let's jump into it. A Republican candidate is being called to resign by Governor Glenn Youngkin, but the other Republicans are upset that Youngkin's calling on John Reid, the lieutenant governor nominee in the state of Virginia, to drop out of the race. Why? Because of some sexually explicit photos that he says are not connected to him. To break this down, this is a story the wonderful Brittany Page is bringing for us. Brittany, people have been loving the ever-loving heck out of you, so it's good to have you back.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Luke. I appreciate it. I'm excited to talk about this with Republicans getting in some trouble again, maybe?
Yes. So let's start with the context, break that down for us. Then, just so the audience knows, I'll show you John Reid. Again, he was a radio host, and now he's running for lieutenant governor in Virginia. Glenn Youngkin's the current governor in Virginia, and he's the one who's saying, based off of this controversy, I think he should drop off the ticket and all of that. And we'll look at we'll look at Glenn Youngkin calling for him to step off the ticket. But first, what do we need to know, Brittany?
Well, you need to know that this began when Fairfax County Supervisor Pat Harity dropped out, and that was due to health reasons. And so John Reid became the default lieutenant governor Republican nominee. And when that happened, a new report surfaced from the Richmonder, and they reported that Republican researchers had discovered sexually explicit photos that they believed were of John Reid, the lieutenant governor Republican nominee. So this is all related to a Tumblr account where naked photos and videos of men, maybe John Reid, maybe not, reposted by an account that has the same username as John Reid's other social media accounts. So the reporting on this now is that Glenn Youngkin is calling for John Reid to step down, and John Reid is refusing, accusing Glenn Youngkin of extortion, saying that he's a gay man, that they are threatening him, that they are fabricating this scandal.
So this Washington Post article has some interesting details. Explicit social media content like this is a distraction, said Youngkin. And on Friday, Youngkin's Spirit of Virginia PAC said the governor asked Reid to abandon his bid over disturbing online content. I wonder what that means, disturbing, on a Tumblr account, which reposted photos. And again, the connection is that I guess they had this account since has been deleted, but the same username that John Reid uses on other platforms, which reposted photos that range from explicit images of male genitalia, penis, to tamer photos of men in skimpy bathing suits. Gotta love the skimpy, and underwear. The account shares the same handle as Reid's other social media accounts. Reid, who does not appear in any of the photos that the Washington Post viewed, or they don't think he appears. The genitalia could be, but we don't know. Washington Post viewed on.
I know. How did they verify that?
Yeah,
how did they verify that?
No. On the now deleted account has said the account was not his and refused to step down.
Fake news.
Exactly right. So,
and that actually is, he's taking a very Trump-esque approach to this. He's saying, listen, they're coming after me. I'm not going to step down. This is only making me stronger. And he's generating support from Republicans in the state because he is taking that Trump approach to defending himself from these accusations.
Yeah, I've never actually been on Tumblr, but is it a standard to just post other photos of... So even if the account is his, they're saying it's likely that he was just posting random photos of other people's sexually explicit images. That's just kind of a strange pastime to be like, hey, this one's a good penis. It's kind of strange. But here's...
Yeah, I agree. I think I never had a Tumblr, but I think that it has been used for that purpose. So I think it's possible. I think it is maybe odd for John Reid to be using it in that way, but maybe while he was being a radio host, it was like in his free time during commercial breaks or something. He just logged in there and like reposted stuff. Who knows?
It's like when people send me Instagram reels and they're like, just thought you'd enjoy this. It's just posting, just thought you'd enjoy this to my followers. All right, well, here's a local news report talking about this.
It's a distraction for campaigns, and it's a distraction from people paying attention to the most important issues. And here we are today talking about fentanyl and saving lives, and the distraction is present.
Governor Youngkin today speaking in Pentagon City on Fentanyl Awareness Day. He made it clear that was what he wanted to focus on and not this brewing controversy. Last week, Reid became the Republican nominee for lieutenant governor after Fairfax Board of Supervisors member Pat Harity decided to suspend his race because of health allegations. Reid is gay. Then allegations from an online...
It's kind of a weird... Reid is gay. It's so grim. Reid is gay. We have
very aggressive.
Channel 4 News reports has learned Reid is gay. It's like, yeah, he's openly gay. All right.
Suspend his race because of health allegations. Reid is gay. Then allegations from an online publication in Richmond. The Richmonder reporting Governor Youngkin called Reid to ask that he withdraw from the race, following nude photos shared on an old social media account with a username tied to Reid. Reid responding on social media himself.
My representatives...
And we'll watch this ourselves, so you can cut away from that. Jaden, wow.
Because that's when he accuses Glenn Youngkin of extortion. I mean, that's serious stuff, right? Accusing the governor of Virginia of extortion.
Yeah, I wish they would share what, I guess we can find it, but what the social media handle was. Because if it's like John Reid 361 YT, then maybe it's a little unlikely that this Tumblr was not him. But even so, it's kind of... Youngkin's describing these images as disturbing. If he was just sharing, I don't know, whatever. Here's his response. Oh, by the way, please do, I'll say this in the middle of the segment this time, click the subscribe button to this channel if you appreciate the way that we discuss stories. And then Brittany has a channel of her own, Brittany Page. If you search that on YouTube, you'll find it. She has great work as well. Here's John Reid saying this is extortion.
Hi, I'm John Reid. It's Sunday afternoon, and I had certainly hoped that we could put the bigotry and ugliness of last week behind us and unify our Republican ticket this year. But shockingly, once again, representatives of my campaign have been told by the leader of Governor Youngkin's political organization that the attacks on me will continue unless I drop out of the race for lieutenant governor. What colossal arrogance and abuse to a loyal fellow Republican, and like it or not, the declared legal nominee of our party, just like what we saw against President Trump over the last 8 years. My representatives were shown the same explicit photographs of other people that I've got nothing to do with.
Why do they have to look at them? They're just sharing the Washington Post. We viewed the images. They're raunchy, but we can't confirm that they are John Reid's.
I was shown last week.
Maybe they need to verify whether or not it's skimpy. He's like, I need to fact check this part of the Washington Post reporting. Is it actually skimpy? Let's take a vote.
I have learned that Governor Youngkin has the images and has looked at them himself.
The same explicit photographs of other people that I've got nothing to do with that I was shown last week. And they were told that if I dropped out of the race, they would purchase the opposition research and the lies and threats against me would suddenly stop. This is extortion, and it is illegal in Virginia. And I am more outraged now. I have engaged legal counsel to pursue all options against these people. The insiders in Virginia politics made a big miscalculation if they thought that I would bow down to anyone or run away scared. I'm a conservative Trump supporter, and I'm gay. And everybody knows it because I've told you in person and in the media for decades.
And the local news broke that news to us.
I've not broken any law, and I'm not a hypocrite. I do not pretend that I was a saint before I entered into my current 8-year relationship. Personally and politically, I don't have anything to say about what consenting adults do in private. I am sickened and outraged at the weeks of veiled accusations and attacks on my family. And I'm not going to continue to answer a never-ending parade of questions and false accusations from people who we now know are solely motivated to stage a coup against a gay man whom they didn't want to be their nominee, but didn't have the guts to run against. It's unfair. No one else has to deal with this type of speculation and hyper scrutiny of their past before they were married or engaged, and I won't either. I'm the Republican nominee for lieutenant governor, and I'm more transparent, and I'm more conservative, and I'm tougher than any of my detractors, and I'm not going anywhere except to get back on the campaign trail, win this election, and take these people to court.
Okay, first of all, I actually totally agree that gay candidates get the sort of like pervert allegation thrown at them as quickly as possible. It's like I remember this happened to a Democrat at one point where afterwards it kind of came out that none of it was that accurate, and it was just they were throwing mud at them, and it's because I think whenever you're doing oppo research, if it's someone who's gay, a large population of people are more quick to assume they must be, perverted or doing weird things. Unfortunately, people jump to that conclusion so quickly. So him referencing that is a fair general point about politics, especially Republicans are going to, jump to that conclusion quickly. Mm-hmm. And also, so that stands. Given that I don't know for certain, I'd have to do some of my own research and see the images myself to really know. But simultaneously, I'm so annoyed with this type of defense where you go, listen, before I was married, I did some sick, depraved things. I posted images that you wouldn't even be able to look at without crying. But I didn't post any of those, and I'm happily married now. And it's like, wait, you're denying this. Why are you bringing up that you used to be so naughty? Also, it reminds me of Russell Brand, who posted a video denying he got charged with rape in the UK. And he says, I've been transparent with all of you that I was evil. I did some disturbing things. I was so sexually, deplorable. But also, I didn't rape anyone. It's like, why are you bringing up that you've changed if you're saying there was nothing for you to have changed from? And with John Reid, from what I can tell, you're bringing this story to me for the first time. You're telling me for the first time, as Trump would say. So it doesn't. I'm
hearing this for the first time.
Yeah, it doesn't even seem like there's
the best I can do.
Any of the bombshells that, for example, Mark Robinson had, where he was talking about wanting to be a slave owner and stuff in his porn site chat. So there's kind of so many weird elements of this. Brittany, what say you?
Yeah, well, I think that's part of why there's so much consternation in the Republican Party in Virginia right now, because there's a lot of frustration, particularly with Glenn Youngkin, for calling John Reid, asking him to drop out, because there's some accusations from Republicans that he has invited more scrutiny into this story than there otherwise would have been had he not pressured John Reid to drop out. And you're right about him saying that he hasn't been a saint. I mean, how would that be relevant? You're coming out, you're saying that this account isn't yours, you don't know anything about these photos, you took a good hard look at those photos and you don't recognize anyone in the photos and you don't think they're of you. So it's like you really looked at them and you evaluated that, you looked at the evidence. And so why would it be relevant that you haven't been a saint in your life? I don't know, it's almost like preemptively trying to get out in front of something else that may come out. And maybe that's part of the fear here, who knows? But I think that obviously there is growing scrutiny over this. Reporters are probably looking into it further. Like you said, related to the former Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina, Mark Robinson. I mean, if they are going to make further connections between these accounts and get into it a little bit more, then maybe we will be hearing more, and maybe we will get an opportunity to evaluate these photos ourselves. Who knows?
Actually, get the bottom right photo ready, Jay. This is actually breaking news. We have just been sent one of the photos.
Oh my God.
Just give the people one more look, Jaden.
No, don't do it slow. The slow fade in,
you are
honestly.
Right. Glenn Youngkin's right. Those are disturbing. I'm not going to be able to sleep.
Those are lewd, offensive photos.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come.
So here's what's confusing me too, and maybe I'm missing something from what you've told me.
Okay.
I'd be for him to drop out if those were the photos he was posting. I just see sexually explicit, right? So is it like he was consensually posting, or someone with his username was consensually posting just nude photos of like what, porn stars or something. I wouldn't do that myself, but I'm kind of missing what the bombshell is. Unless there was something, without someone's consent or, not of age or something like that. Is there any missing element, or is it just he was posting nudes and that's kind of weird? So, yeah.
Well, I think you're missing that the Republican Party is a party of puritanicals, and they want everyone else to be very, don't step out of line, don't talk about sex, don't even pretend like we have genitals, don't talk about it, don't think about it. And then, when they go into private, there's some real freaky, naughty stuff happening in a lot of cases, to steal a line from Ben Stiller in whatever movie that is. So, again, that's why the most recent example of this is a Republican with the former Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. There are so many examples of Republicans pretending to be so pure and righteous. And then we know that they are just like other people. They have sexual needs. They're getting up to stuff and it happens,
I forgot that Mark Robinson was in Virginia, wasn't he?
No, he's North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay. You said Virginia and I was like, wait, North Carolina.
Sorry.
You're so right. I know. If y'all missed that story, this is a fun one. So a Republican was running for governor and he was lieutenant governor already. And it came out that it was called, Mini Soldier was his username. And he had been chit-chatting on a chat forum on a site called Nude Africa, and it was a porn site, and he was sharing all these personal details about himself. So it was easy to verify that it was him, even though he denied that it was him. And then he sued CNN, and then it was crazy. I think he dropped the suit after the campaign was over, like we predicted. And except in his case, it wasn't just that he was saying some wild, he was fantasizing about doing unthinkable acts to his wife's sister, and in, the party of family values. And then, which I guess keep it in the family, maybe those family values. I don't know. Maybe that's what they meant. But then he also talked about if he was black, and he was talking about if he had been around back, or he would love to have himself a slave and he'd been a good slave owner or something like that. And then talked about looking through and looking at nude girls in the locker room, their changing room. And then he said all of these just he said he's a black Nazi. That's what it was. He described himself as a black Nazi. So that's a bombshell right there.
Yes. Yeah. And so I think maybe some of the Republicans in Virginia are a little worried that with growing scrutiny of this story, there are going to be additional details. So I don't know. Who knows where it's going to go? Who
knows? As I said before, Brittany Page is fantastic. It was a fun one. What can I say?
It's good when we get to laugh in the midst of the terror, right?
It is. And we'll let you know if we get our hands on those photos. Brittany Page, where can people support your work? Remind them. I know I already told them.
Please follow me on YouTube. You can search my name, Brittany Page, or you can look in the description below and click on the link. Page Perspective is what I host, and I talk about politics and do the same laughing about photos over there.
Thank you.